Well, hey guys, how's everybody? I hope everyone's well. Hope everybody's having a great day. Had no intentions of messing with this saw today. I came out here and was like, well, I want to fool with something. It's been raining. Ain't really in the wood splitting and stacking mood. Still have that big mountain of red oak and hickory to do. I got all of last year's wood we'd brought in done and in the shed, but I'll be splitting most of next week, I'm sure. But anyway, I wanted to have a look at this thing. Someone had Muffler modded it. What they'd actually done was, looked like they might have took a torch or something and just went through the top of the muffler, kind of blew out the baffle inside of it down in there to where it would flow out of this front port better. But I'm kind of glad I did. There was a lot of slag and a lot of metal in the muffler that needed to be got and dumped out of there. Just take note on that, guys, when you're muffler modding one. Just try your best to get everything out. It is possible for something to break loose and fall down in the muffler later, but we'll make sure it's good to go before we put it back on the saw. But I was like, well, I want to go into it and see if anyone's messed with it, but it looks to be bone stock. I thought there might have been some cleanup done to the exhaust port, but I just think it's really that low of an hour saw by looking at it now. Really weird design on the uppers on this thing. I thought I'd put some steep angles on some upper transfers before, but man, that's kind of crazy on that, if you can see it. It is a quad port outbound design, closed port, or semi-closed, I guess. I would probably call that a closed port, but I think that I know this has a limited coil unless it's been changed, and I'm pretty sure the carb on it's been, the carb on these is governed. I could be wrong, just from other videos I've watched. But what we're gonna do here is I'm gonna get the what's left of the base gasket on it cleaned up, get the cylinder back on, see where the squish is at and the initial timing numbers, and we'll kind of go from there, I guess. Alright guys, I've mapped this out just like the other Echo we done. Port timing on it's kind of crazy compared to most of the other saws we're used to doing. They're not really doing any machine work, or I just don't think it would be necessary. The risk ain't worth the reward. This particular saw, it's like 24 thou in some places, 26 another on the squish. If you check over the wrist pin, it's like 26. If you check out front or in the back, it's 24. If that makes any sense. You should check in multiple corners of the cylinder if it's questionable. And if you ain't got a ring on it, I recommend just checking right over the wrist pin and, you know, taking that as your reading. But, you know, to each their own. But this thing's insane. 115 on the exhaust. I don't know if that's common. If that's common, you guys can let me know. The transfers are kind of crazy. 18 blow down at its shortest. Normally your primaries are next to the exhaust port. They're smaller, they open a lot later. I don't know what the concept is behind all of that, but we'll just call it 18 blow down when they're cracking on secondaries. They're in what I would call the secondaries, but like 77 on the intake, which is fine. I'm really thinking I'm not going to do much of nothing with this. I'm thinking I'm just going to maybe go over here and take a cartridge roll and a flap wheel to the exhaust port, base gasket delete and send it. I'm not really wanting to order stuff to do away with the government. Alright guys, probably the quickest cylinder I've ever ported. I just don't want to take anything away from it. And look at the size of that combustion chamber. And heavy, the saw does have a dome piston. I don't think it was no compression monster in stock form. It just super simple to pull over without the decomp. You know, the decomps for older people or weaker people, or, you know, someone that may need that extra little bit of assistance. But most of us guys on this particular saw, and most others are not going to need a decomp. Probably the quickest cylinder I've ever ported, and I don't mean I rushed it and butchered it. You can see what I done. I just brought the what I'd call the primary again, because it's next to the exhaust port. Your primary is generally the one that opens first, but for some reason this one's kind of ass backwards, but it's brought up even with the secondary. Same deal over here. If they look polished, they ain't. I do my transfers unless it's something, in this case, where I would have needed to move them all. If I would have moved the exhaust port, I use a diamond abrasive. In 90% of cases that seems to work. It just takes a little longer. It's a lot less forgiving. If you agree with it, you do. If you don't, you don't. And then just went in with probably like a 120 flap wheel, or actually an old roll I'd made a flap wheel out of. Kept the stock shape. It did enlarge it, it did widen it, and just, you know, went in and done a little work with it. But this is the simplest port job. Will it make an improvement? Yes. How much? I don't know. I've still got the piece of wood out there I cut on yesterday, but I think it was going through that in like 4 or 5 seconds or something, so I wouldn't expect anything drastic, if there's even enough left of it to cut on. But what I'm hoping we gained by raising the uppers is, you know, getting a little more fuel up into the mix, a little torque there in the cut, and we've increased compression. I have no idea how much. I know that gasket was thick. I guess I could have measured squish before I started to, but didn't. Just I was right there and just yanked the bolts out of the cylinder. But anyway, maybe the next thing you guys see will be this thing running. Alrighty guys, it picked up about where I thought it would. It's got more grunt in the cut. It still ain't no screaming demon. Again, you know, I'd have to buy the unlimited coil. I think that's for a 620 Echo, and I don't know if the carb's been modded or not. I do know that they have done away with the limiters, whoever done the muffler mod. This thing starts super easy, tunes really easy. Probably be a dang good firewood saw, but, you know, to get it to be a screamer, I think I'd have to buy that unlimited coil, make sure that the carb is not governed, you know, and go back in and, you know, remap the saw again. But we're changing the port map on it. But for what it is, I think we're just going to leave it alone. I'm probably going to end up just moving it on down the line. If somebody's interested in it, just power head alone, just get a hold of me through email. It's always in the description. But with that said, thank you guys. Everybody be safe, and y'all have a great day.